Hello everybody, Tom the Dilettante here. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome to another episode of Comments and Libations, where I spend 10 minutes, give or take, going through your comments while having a drink. And today we're going to be sucking on a Drop Dead Blonde from Stevens Point Brewery. Alright, first one from J Rifter 1281 on the diesel heater update. I like the Kaowool idea. It may solve a problem I've been having myself. Well, that Kaowool, that was something I found just perusing some various forums, and I had never really heard of it before. For those of you not in the know, it's a ceramic matting, and you use it to wrap around something hot. I was super impressed with how well it worked. Before installing it permanently as a throughway in a 4-inch hole in my wall for the diesel heater exhaust, I had wrapped it around the outlet of the diesel heater, just one wrapping to see how it would do, left it there for about a week, and you can hold on to that sucker. The heat was never coming through. I'm rather curious, J Rifter 1281, what problem you're trying to solve. Hopefully it's nothing like setting your local surroundings on fire. Next, from Class 69, what external Comet antenna can you recommend for a UV5R 5 watt portable, is what I'm assuming he's asking. You know, it depends on your application. I mean, the moment you connect an external antenna like something like the Comet, which is like 7 feet tall, you kind of defeat the purpose of having a portable handheld radio. But it still can be done. The UV5R, it's got a removable antenna, I think it's an SMA connector, and you can get SMA adapters to coax and run it to just about any antenna. I like to use BNC connectors because they're kind of a quick disconnect style, and if I have a handheld, I'll connect a BNC connector to a coax to a larger antenna, and that way I can extend my range using nothing more than a low power handheld. As far as what Comet antenna I would recommend, to be honest, I'm still fairly new in the amateur radio hobby. I haven't experimented with that many antennas. I do like this Comet CX333 tri-band. It might be a little overkill for a UV5R, which is going to be 2 meter and 70 centimeter. This is 2 meter, 70 centimeter, and 1.25 meter. But anyway, experiment. Right? You can get a cheap antenna off of Amazon, you can get a J-pole. I actually built my own dipole once with some steel rod and some PVC. There's a myriad of content creators out there for amateur radio. Many of them cover homebrew antennas or other antenna reviews. Just Google it or YouTube search homebrew antennas or amateur radio antenna reviews. And I'm sure you'll stumble upon something that you might like. But at the end of the day, part of this hobby is just experimenting, so have at it. Next, from Callium RPK 6055. So the Earth isn't flat, from the GMRS one. Yep, sorry to disappoint, the Earth is not flat. I mean, granted, I've never flown up into space to observe it myself, but all the physics and the math tend to suggest that it's a sphere. Actually, it's an oblate spheroid, I think is what it's called, because it's a little bit, it bulges at the equator. Next, from Roger Ward 3185, a long one. This is on the Why I Abandoned the Subaru Ambassadorship, a recent video. Tom, no, I'm not going to say you're being a Karen, but I will say that you're blaming Subaru America for the actions of one individual, and I didn't hear you say you had put footsteps on top of the salesman's head to get things taken care of. What did his boss say, or his boss above him? I see the USMC emblem proudly displayed behind you. I did my career in the Army, retiring about 10 years ago. I'm sure, like us, you were trained to work the chain of command. Yeah, true. You do talk about the ambassador program and that it should give you some enhanced credibility with them. That is probably the closest thing to a Karen moment in the video. Do you know who I am? Anyone? Can you imagine? That's not what I meant, but do you know who I am? I'm an ambassador, damn it. No, hold on. Let me finish this up. It won't give enhanced credibility if you aren't making your problem known to higher ups. At any rate, I will count myself as fortunate that my local dealer and their sales and service staff are amazing in comparison to horror stories I hear. I'll also keep watching and enjoying your videos. That's a lot to unpackage there, and I do believe I replied to this one, but thank you for your comment. Thank you for your service, by the way. Retired Army, that's awesome. Hopefully post-retirement is treating you well. The Karen moment, yeah. I probably didn't do as good a job mentioning how that came up. Backing up a little bit, it was literally, I think, the week before we had gone into the dealership to get my wife's new Outback, where I received the email saying that I was approved and a newly minted Subaru ambassador. And to be honest, it really only came up during that initial sales transaction because I was supposed to pick a dealer that I wanted to be affiliated with. So I had that conversation with them. That's where I allude to the fact that they knew I was an ambassador, but beyond that, it certainly didn't come up as, I'm an ambassador, why aren't you treating me special? Because that'd be kind of a dick thing to do. What was really going through my mind was the fact that I'm assuming throughout this this annoying evolution of events that they were aware that I had approached them as an ambassador. And in the back of my mind, right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm thinking to myself, you know, if they know this and we're still getting shitty service, then how are they going to treat the regular walk-in off the street? And that's what led me to abandon the ambassadorship and say, I'm not going to advocate on behalf of this dealer. Now, someone did comment on this video that, you know, one bad experience does not affect an entire brand or all dealerships or all servicemen or salesmen, and that's completely true. I tried in this video to mention that this experience was specific to that engagement and that dealership, and I've had some fantastic experiences with other Subaru dealerships and many Subaru personnel. I'm still a fan of their vehicles. I plan on holding on to my Crosstrek for a long time. So yeah, if anyone thought that I was painting with a wide brush, do please know that that was not the case. Next from @Robson, feet, inches, are you in Mars? No, maybe I could be on Mars, but it's unlikely to be in a particular celestial body. I mean, feet and inches, come on, I grew up in the US. It's sort of a matter of geography. It behooves you to know how to use feet, inches, and the imperial system if you happen to live in this country. Now, that being said, I wholeheartedly wish we would just cut bait and switch to the damn metric system, because it makes much more sense, and it just be nice to have some universal system that's applicable around the globe. So anyway, no, not in Mars, on Mars, whatever it is. Next from SP711, what 12-volt power cord did you purchase and how did you connect it? This is for the diesel heater. I have a Jackery 2 and need an Amazon link to a sufficient SIG lighter and cord. So the cord that I used for this was just a cheap Amazon 12-volt socket that had unterminated ends, and I ended up just twist tying the positive and negative to the diesel heater. Now that being said, there's some barrel connectors that you can get the same way, but I'm actually a huge fan of Anderson power pole connectors, and I've pretty much converted most of my stuff to that type of connector. As a matter of fact, this inspires a good idea. Maybe I'll do a video on that one sometime soon. I'm also going to take this opportunity for a shameless plug, and if you don't want to hear it, just skip ahead in the chapters to the next question. I have an Amazon storefront that contains all the things that I either use in the shop or have reviewed on videos and so forth. And if you do like my content and you want to support the channel in some way, obviously watching and liking the videos and just giving your feedback is a great way, but using that storefront and the links that are on there, if you ever want to buy anything that you've seen on this channel, do please use that. I may get a small commission off of it. The price is the same to you, but it does help kind of support the channel and enable me to buy more shit in order to make more content. So shameless plug over. Next comment from Shankar Sharma 5815 on the diesel heater, and I have a note to myself to group these next few together, so bear with me. I own two. The first one lasted one season, broke at the beginning of the second season. The second heater has been showing occasional unknown malfunctions and outages since the first day. Those heaters are exactly like everything made in China. So speaking of painting with a broad brush, I mean, I think every one of us owns something or contains something made from China, and many of us would probably say those products are good, but yes, some of them are crap. So keep that in mind. We've got a negative experience here. The next comment is, had a Chinese one. It's been going for 5 years now and parts are cheap. This one from Hikarukutai. Sorry, I should know how to pronounce that in Japanese. So here you have a positive one, which is more reflective of my experience. I have two of these things, and they work quite well for me, save for the occasional maintenance, like replacing the fuel pump. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put it in a link below. I actually bought a third one that's not in a box. I'm hoping to put in maybe a Milwaukee pack-out box, so stay tuned for that one. The next comment was from Vindiga6. I gotta get me one of these. That sort of production for that price and cheap to fix, that's a no-brainer. So take these three comments together, and I think it is reflective of the general sentiment towards these things. Some people hate them, some people love them, some people hate them just from a xenophobic point of view because they're made in China. Some people hate them because their experience with the quality has been poor. Some people love them because they're cheap, they're easy to fix, and they function great for long periods of time. I fall more towards the latter one. 2-3 years on mine so far, and when I did take it apart to see if it was gunked up, hell, it was quite clean. But I do need to take apart another one. I've actually run this one on low for extended periods of time, and I noticed that the exhaust out the back of the garage has been exceptionally sooty. So my theory is that when you run them on low, they're probably burning rich, they're probably not getting a very efficient combustion, and gumming things up. So I've since been running that on high to see if I can blow out some crap, but that'll be the next one I take apart the combustion chamber to see how it's been burning. Anyway, links to these diesel heaters are also on the Amazon storefront. Next from Jeffrey, 3498 on the Subaru Broken Spring. Looks like great customer service with subpar parts. I'd rather have great parts than you don't even need the customer service. I agree with you there, Jeffrey. I would much rather have parts that I not have to worry about reaching out to the manufacturer for service. But reading through forums, and maybe some of you Subaru owners can steer me in a different direction, there's a variety of manufacturers out there for aftermarket and lifted suspension kits for the Subarus or the Crosstreks in particular. And every one of them seems to have some good things and bad things to say about it. Rallytech, I've had good experience not only with the representatives of Rallytech, but by and by their products have been okay. I have had some issues, but I haven't had enough issues to switch manufacturers or switch brands just yet. If any of y'all have a recommendation for a brand that you just know is bulletproof, let me know in the comments because I'd like to hear about it and experiment with them. Next from Space Cruisers on the Crosstrek rear brake replacement. Really good recommendations. I was surprised that he was able to get the rotors off the hub using the bolts. That has worked about 1% of the time for me, haha. Usually just strips the threads and I'll have to get the old 15-pound sledge out and go crazy. Yeah, you know, I am fortunate that that worked. I have been in that position where you had to pick up a mini sledge and go all Thor on it. But isn't that nerve-wracking? The moment that thought crosses your mind, when you know you're not going to get something like a rotor off without beating the crap out of it with a hammer, you've passed that point of no return, right? As soon as you make that first full swing and that big metal clunk, there's no reassembling that thing if you start bending the crap out of it. It either comes off or you're taking it in somewhere. But I've been there, and more than a 15-pound sledge, I feel like, just basically double fisting it underneath the vehicle and whacking that thing off. So, yeah. But that being said, do try the bolt method first if your rotors are so equipped, because that's a great way to do it without having to beat the shit out of something. Next from Matthew Gross, 6958. Tom, I too am an outside shade tree mechanic and also have a shit bowl. I'm glad you knew what I was talking about. I was just ad-libbing, and to be honest, I just had a freaking brain fart and didn't know what to call the damn thing. It's this thing. It's just a catch, right? It's your cheap-ass plastic bin that you use for parts cleaner or brake cleaner or whatever, right? So, shit bowl. That's what I called it. Another comment on the brake video by James Michael Woods, 2930. This guy, I love this guy's comments. Good video, applicable to many vehicles and well organized. Thanks, Tom. You're welcome, and thank you for the encouraging remarks here. And you know, on this one, I certainly don't mean to oversimplify this particular maintenance or suggest that professional mechanics don't possess unique skills and experience that justify their bill rates. Not at all. My only point, or more of an opinion really, is that many mechanical systems, again in my opinion, have fundamental similarities, right? Once you understand the basics of how those systems work, in this case brakes, right? You've got a pedal, you've got it's a hydraulic system, you've got a fluid reservoir, you've got a brake booster that's vacuum driven usually, lines, hydraulic pressure, pistons, calipers, rotors, and pads, right? The systems are all fundamentally similar. Now, yes, they do differ. You know, ABS things can make them more complicated. Some of the emergency brakes, it's not a drum brake, it's a screw type piston, which can be interesting to try to compress. You're not going to necessarily compress that with a C-clamp, but I digress. Give it a shot, right? I mean, the way I look at it is, when it comes to trying something new, trying to maintain something new, as long as I feel relatively educated and somewhat confident, I'll give it a shot. Absolute worst case scenario, I garble something up and I'd end up paying someone else to do it as I would have anyway. Only difference is I might be out the cost of a tow. But anyway, hopefully that inspires you to try something. You know, I wasn't gifted with knowledge of this stuff. I learned from others. I learned from YouTube. I learned by talking to others, reading forums, and you can too. Next from Captain Ron, 1913. Did you ditch the Lexus? Absolutely not. Still love that thing. It's parked right out in front. As a matter of fact, I just got some parts in today from Amazon, some backup lights that I'm going to be installing, so hopefully I'll make some content in that. I'm actually really hoping to get some time off this winter to drive out west and try Moab area in December. So we'll see if that happens. More to come. Next from Martin Nachev, 7237. Try it with the FRS and GMRS radios. This was from the Listen Around the World. Oh, the SDR, the RTL SDR dongle. You totally can, right? The FRS, GMRS frequencies are the same. They fall just around the 70 centimeter band. I think it's like 462 and 467 megahertz, and well within the range, the receiving range of this SDR dongle. And I've actually used that several times just to experiment. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll do a video on that one too. If you want to experiment and just see what the waveform looks like on a radio, FRS and GMRS radio, you can totally do that with this software. Alright folks, I think that's just about 10 minutes and that'll conclude this Comments and Libations. I'm making this on Halloween, so I'm going to chalk it up to being my October one, even though it won't post for another day or two. But I'll try to get another one out in November around Thanksgiving time. Until the next time though, this is Tom the Dilettante saying thank you for watching, keep on tinkering and keep on learning, and you have a good one. Take care.